Greetings, brave adventurers! FoxyBard here, back with some more RPG community stories. That's right, it's Wednesday. That means it's Community Day. All the stories you will hear on Wednesdays are taken directly from the FoxyBard community, be that my own comments section, or the Discord server, which you can join in the video description below. Now, our story today is a bit of a rough one. It involves two players in a larger group that set out to make D&D horrible for everyone else playing. It kind of meanders a little bit, but stick with it, there's a good ending. Our storyteller today is Salty Kitsune from the FoxyBard Discord. Without further ado, let's get into it. I relay to you a tale most recent, a tale of sorrow and woe, of angst and anger, of the good, the bad, and myself, the ugly. Oh no, you're not ugly, don't be like that. I would like to preface this by saying a good half of this, the Discord arc, is second-hand info. The DM in this game runs the game I am in, thankfully free of Problem's influence, and it's very good. I learned of this player by joining a second game he's running, and kind of regretting it because of said player. I hate myself. No, come on, stop. So I assumed I'm in the minority. Still, I asked around, half the party shared my thoughts. With some generous suggestion, I managed to convince the DM that no D&D was better than bad D&D, thus, he was removed. In a just world, that would be the end of it. But this is not a just world. To start off with, everyone in the party, including the DM, is a scaly, except me, I'm a furry. And the new guy, who is just a normal D&D player. And he was great, he was quiet and played well, and every game run by this DM is great, except for just this one singular player. I will call him Problem Player. You know, that's probably a good name. Problem Player exemplifies every stereotype you might attribute to scalies who are dragons. Loud, angry, prideful. It would be funny if it wasn't harmful. The game arc. We were playing Storm King's Thunder on a site like Roll20, but I forget the actual name. Minor module spoilers, by the way. But the starting town in that module must be some kind of hellish mosh pit, because we got into fight after fight after fight. Capping off with 25 plus 2 boss? Exactly, I counted orcs at level 2 for a party of 6. It started off fine, I suppose, if a bit tedious. We arrived at a town to find it empty but filled with goblins. That's not empty. As a party of 6 level 1 adventurers, it was very, very easy. We'd find goblins in pods of 1 or 2 at a time, kill them, and slowly comb through the rest of the town for them. This took maybe 2 hours, and I was half asleep with boredom. Anytime someone would speak out, Mr. Problem would absolutely steamroll them mid-conversation. There was no roleplay at all. I wasn't even keeping track of any specifics besides my own, but for reference, about half of the first 2 hours of play was just Mr. Problem talking. For example, there was an abandoned shop in town that sold adventuring gear and a broken bridge. I had the idea to grab a grappling hook from the shop and sling it across the bridge. Only, I never got to speak my idea. Most of my attempts went like me. Problem Player.
What are we gonna do about this? Maybe we can tie the 2 ladders together from the barn and make a bridge out of them.
Me. That sounds unstable. We could... Problem Player.
How much weight would that support, DM?
Me. What? Problem Player.
How long are they?
DM, probably sick of this and just wanting to move along.
I guess it could work.
Me, I have...
Problem Player. Alright, I go grab the ladders and tie them together.
And then I actually facepalmed in real life and lost all motivation to ever speak up again. It was Mr. Problem's way or the highway. Luckily, things picked up soon. As combat is, things were chaotic. I was playing a sorcerer and I was missing my spells. Somebody was hiding in a tower. The two clerics, me, and Problem Player, along with a legion of NPCs, were holding back the orcs while the tower fired arrows down. And Rogue probably did something similar, I forget. It was fun. In the end, 3 of us went down, including Problem Player, and an NPC captain of the guard, with 3 attacks our DM affectionately called the Meat Grinder. Basically carried us through the horde, sitting out in front and tanking all the hits. We barely survived. Problem Player had shut up, mostly. He snapped at one of the other players for explaining how to set up a macro to a cleric, and I'm pretty sure it ruined said player's game. He was quiet and sounded downtrodden. I felt bad, but thought if I brought it up, it would only make it worse by calling attention to it. I do feel like I'm a bit to blame for that too. I kind of agreed with Problem Player by saying, "Yeah man, send that as a text message over Discord so you don't speak over someone." And only realized I sounded like a huge jerk by proxy after I said that. If you're hearing this, buddy, my bad. The Discord arc. I tried to convince the DM to boot Problem Player the moment I learned everyone else's thoughts, but things are never that simple. For one, his lover was in the party, so booting one player probably meant losing 2. For another, Mr. Problem and his partner were in another game of the DM's. I tried telling him that no D&D is better than bad D&D, but the DM is way too nice a guy. Luckily, Problem Player did something so bad it even made the DM kick him out. So that problem solved itself. Now, our DM plays by the rules, and that's a point of pride for him. He follows them to the letter. No pseudo-dragon familiars unless you're Pact of the Chain. Persuasion is not mind control. No, you can't take a bonus action while paralyzed, etc., etc. Now, I really like this DMing style because honestly, I would break his game if he gave me even an inch of homebrew. I'm a power gamer by nature, lol. Problem Player, though, apparently, had an issue with it. If you don't know, if you use an action to ready a spell with a specific trigger, example, hit the dragon with Scorching Ray if it starts flying, but the specific trigger is not reached, if, in this case, the dragon stays on the ground, the spell slot is lost. Many people homebrew this out. Our DM is not one of them. I would like to stress that Problem Player didn't even ready a spell. He got so angry that he might lose his spell, he stopped the game for 5 minutes to complain. The other players agreed that the rule is dumb, and the DM agreed as well, but again, his style is to follow the rules. This caused the game to slow to a halt. Eventually, one of the players just ran in to try to manually trigger the spell to stop the bitching. In this case, it was scaring a group of enemies away so that they start running, which triggered his readied fireball. I thought he didn't ready a spell. Problem Player pouted the rest of the session. One of the players had the flu for that session, so they were having difficulty speaking. Mr. Problem kept talking over them. DM asked them to let sick player speak once, and they got, again, really angry and pouty, and rage quit the session right there. As it ended, and this is how I learned of it, Mr. Problem relayed his frustrations to the DM in private. He was not very nice about it. He said he felt singled out and that he was considering leaving entirely, in much harsher words. Some of them rhymed with bucking. In the D&D chat channel we were all in, he was arguably worse. Oh no. He got angry at his partner for suggesting he calm down, telling him, and this is a direct quote,
"Why are you treating me like a rando? We're supposed to be mates."
To which said partner replied, "Well, I'm sorry for having my own opinion." I was an observer to all of this. I had only interacted with Problem Player once. DM and him had been friends for quite a while, So maybe he was wearing rose-colored glasses. Regardless, watching this angry twat tell my favorite DM he
doesn't give a fox about his players
legitimately made me angry. I dragged the DM into voice chat, relayed my thoughts, and then Problem Player was booted from the game. As it goes, both Problem Player and his partner kept making passive-aggressive comments in the server's general chat. The DM ignored it, and honestly I did too because I just didn't care. But both of them, both Problem Player and his partner, messaged someone completely unrelated to the game. The only relation he has to the game is that he's in a different game group that our DM is running. I guess they just wanted to turn everyone against the DM? Now, the person they messaged just so happened to be a close friend of both DM and myself. This person also has very bad anxiety issues and is conflict averse. I'm quite protective of them. So when I learned they called him stupid and badgered him to leave the game, lied to him saying the DM hates him, I got a little angry. I basically pulled DM into a voice chat, explained what was going on, and provided screenshots. He said, and this is a direct quote, "I am so done with their crap," and kicked them from the server. Currently, they are in the process of individually messaging every single D&D player in the server to try and pull off what they did to Friend. It's not going well for them. Well, holy fox, that was a giant mess. I'm so happy that the DM finally saw reason and kicked those two people out. They were being incredibly toxic. There's a few details in the story that don't 100% line up. Maybe it was poor wording of certain events, but I was a bit confused on a few points, and it is what it is. I don't doubt the honesty of the storyteller, however. I think we've all run into at least one person like this in our life. This is usually the part where I'd give some advice like, oh, you should definitely see those red flags early, and don't be afraid to talk to the DM about it, but that's what OP did. Like, they talked directly to the DM, approached them about the problem, and tried to get it resolved as soon as possible. So yeah, well done OP. No notes. You were correct. No D&D is better than bad D&D. But this was a really long one, so we're gonna have to call this week's Community Day short here. I'm starting to build up a good list of possible stories to tell though, so keep an eye out for next week, where who knows whose story will be told.
I do. I'm the one telling the stories, I know.
If you want to participate in future Community Days, you can either leave me a comment with a story down below, or you can join the FoxyBard Discord server. Link is in the video description. I hope to see you all there. Now for the YouTube stuff. Help me fight off that horrible algorithm monster. Don't forget to like the video if you liked the video, subscribe if you have yet to do so, ring the bell icon which will notify you when I upload a new video, and share this video around to your friends if you think they'd like it. Oh, and let me know what you thought of my new video format, and if you liked it. I'm trying to make the videos a little bit more engaging to watch, rather than just listen to. But I've gotta go bonk DMs on the head for not kicking problem players, so let's douse the fire and get back to our own adventures.